Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing the top 5 skin tints. I really wanted to focus this on dry skin types because I know when you have a dry skin type, it's oftentimes really difficult to find skin tints that work for a dry skin type. So all of these really pass my test. They are long wearing. They don't get too oily on the skin, and they also don't emphasize dryness or irritate sensitive skin types. And as you know, I literally test like hundreds of products a year, and I felt like if it was too many, it could kind of get a little bit overwhelming. So I wanted to focus on these 5 because I think they all provide different benefits, different coverage points, different formulas. So I'm hoping that by a more in-depth video on these specific skin tints, it will be helpful for you to kind of navigate what type of formula or which product you'd like. I'm gonna start off with my personal favorite, the one I've been using the longest, the one that I have repurchased many times, and it permanently lives in my everyday makeup vanity because I reach for it almost every single day. It's just such a great complexion product in my opinion. So it's the Chanel Le Beige Water Fresh Tint. I've also done a more in-depth video comparing this to Chanel's Complexion Touch, as well as the CoverGirl Essence and the Rose Inc Tinted Serum. So if you're looking for more information on those products, it is pretty in-depth on those as well. So the Chanel Water Fresh Tint is available in 8 different shades. I've gone more in-depth, but the unique thing about this one is the little pigment beads throughout the product. This is what Chanel calls the microfluidic technology. It really just gives your skin that like super hyper realistic skin-like effect to where it doesn't really look like makeup. It's just such a beautiful product. I love how lightweight this feels on the skin, and I know something like this would seem like it doesn't last very long. However, I've worn this in super humid climates for 10 hours plus. I still feel like it looks really gorgeous on my skin. It manages to stay looking really beautiful and freshly applied. It plays beautifully with powder. I've also had a really great experience with this mixing with like different primers, different skincare products, makeup products. It's just always performed really consistently for me, and I never have issues with it like pilling or separating under different makeup products. And the reason I like this so much more than Complexion Touch is I feel like this one is a true skin tint, whereas Complexion Touch is a little bit more of like a serum like foundation. So if a true skin tint is really what you're looking for, I think this is the one to go with, whereas Complexion Touch is kind of the bridge between a skin tint and a foundation. So for good reason, this remains a favorite in my makeup routine and a staple in my makeup collection. With the Chanel, you can use fingers or a brush. I'm using the Hourglass Ambient Glow brush and then just kind of massaging it into my skin. And even though it's lightweight, like it feels like a serum, I find it to be so moisturizing and beautiful. So it just gives like that really nice healthy look all over. And instead of kind of like, covering up my skin, it just gives me an evened out complexion. And then with just a little bit of concealer to help brighten, but I feel like you kind of want to see it with a little bit of concealer under the eyes, that way you can see what the face would actually look like. Just a little bit of brightening concealer and a skin tint really does go a long way. So it's very light, really nice and fresh. It feels lightweight. This one also does play nicely with powder. So if you want to use a little bit of powder on top and kind of mattify the skin, you can do that as well. I don't think it's like anti-powder of a skin tint, but I just like how it looks like my own skin without looking heavy. It doesn't feel heavy, and it just has this like really nice bounciness to it. Like my skin just has that nice like soft glaze, and it doesn't look oily, but it just looks healthy. So the Chanel one is just always so good. So my overall thoughts on Chanel Complexion Touch: if you want juicy, plump looking skin, you want your skin to look and feel moisturized, this is the one to go with. Okay, next up is the skin tint from Westman Atelier. So this is the Westman Atelier Vital Skincare Complexion Drop. So Westman Atelier complexion drops are available in 20 shades, and this one sets down to more of a radiant finish. This one specifically sits between like a tinted face oil and a skin serum. So it's got a really unique formula. It goes on almost like a facial oil would, but then when it sets to the skin, it has a little bit more of a substantial feeling. So it doesn't slip and slide around the skin for me. However, with that being said, I would say these are best reserved for normal skin to dry, or maybe even combination. Let's move into the application shot of these. As you can see, these are super fluid. So they don't need a ton of like time to apply. They just glide over the skin so easily. Same thing, they're like a little bit more radiant than the ones from Chanel. A little bit more of that kind of, like I said, oil finish on the skin, and a little bit really goes a long way because with the Westman Atelier ones, you can stretch them so much further. It still has some good coverage. And as you can see, these just apply super quick. They're very like If speed is something that you're looking for in your routine, these would be the ones I would say apply the quickest. And that's definitely a lot of the formula at work. And hopefully you can tell on camera, it's just slightly more radiant than the ones from Chanel. And you can see like a lot of really great light reflection, but these feel so good on your skin. And again, you can powder these and kind of tone down the radiant shine, but I personally really like that because my skin doesn't really get oilier throughout the day. So, and these are definitely one of those products where like you kind of forget you're wearing it because it feels so lightweight. It just doesn't feel like, you know, another layer of makeup. Westman Atelier is a clean brand, so take that as you will if that's important to you. However, I have noticed just a little bit of feedback from people saying that they don't enjoy the smell of these. I personally don't have an issue with it. I'm not sensitive to fragrance. There is no added fragrance to this product, and because of that, and because it's a clean brand, it does have its own unique smell to it. I don't find it to be overpowering. I don't find it to be distracting, but just something to note. Overall though, these are like the best hybrid between like skincare, face oil, and makeup. They're very good. Next up are these Fenty sticks. This is the Fenty Eaze Drop Blur and Tint Stick. This is available in 25 shades. The coverage is going to be light to medium. The thing I really like about the Fenty stick is that it has such great coverage. Now Fenty says that this is light to medium. I would definitely agree with that, but I think you can really build this up and get some great coverage depending on what you're trying to cover. So if you have really deep dark hyperpigmentation or discoloration that you're very concerned about, I would say you could still get away with using this and then spot concealing those problem areas on the skin. Now this is lightweight, it's creamy, it's such a unique formula. I think it's so exciting that there is a stick product that is a skin tint. Move into the application shots of the Fenty. So with Fenty, this is one where I definitely think if you are on the drier side, you know, oily moisturizing primer is really going to help you out, just so it doesn't kind of like catch on the skin or cling to any of your problem areas. I think this one is so cool. I just think it's cool that it's a semi-sheer stick product. A lot of times with stick foundations, they're like so full coverage, and yes, you can sheer them out, but I think it's just nice to have a skin tint in stick form. Again, with all these skin tints, like they're so quick and easy to apply, so it just doesn't take as much work to getting the result you want, and that's why I think skin tints are so great for day to day. Okay, so keep in mind I do have that moisturizing primer underneath, but if you just did like a gel moisturizer, or if you did like a matte sunscreen underneath, you're going to have a little bit more of the visible satin finish on the skin. Like, how pretty is that? The Fenty one, in my opinion, is stunning, and just, you can definitely tell the coverage is there, there's more, but let's say you really wanted to, you know, build it up and just get a little bit something extra, that's where you would take the skin tint stick and go after like that look, it's so good. And then you just work that into the skin, kind of tapping that coverage in place. Obviously it's not going to disappear as much as it would with a foundation, but if a natural look is what you're going after, you can definitely achieve that with this and still get that really great effect from isolating areas where you want more coverage. It doesn't feel like your other cream stick foundations that you know. This one is so lightweight, and it just has that nice soft blurring effect on the pores as well. So overall, the Fenty one I think would be great for normal to dry skin type, but I also think oily people could perhaps really like this as well, just because of that set down on the skin. And if you already had like a slightly more naturally oily skin type, I think that would be great because it would just glide over your skin so lovely, and then you could set it with a little bit of powder to get it to have some more stay power. But I really do genuinely think this is such an exciting product because it is a skin tint in stick form. It's easy to apply. It's just a gorgeous product. I think the longevity on this is also really great because it has a little bit more of that powderiness to the formula. So overall, I would say this is really nice just for the fact that it is so buildable and so customizable in terms of coverage. Hourglass, you guys know I love this. This is the Hourglass Hydrating Skin Tint. Hourglass is available in 18 shades. This one hits a light coverage point and it has a dewy radiant finish. Now with the Hourglass Skin Tint, it's radiant without being like glittery or too shiny. I also find this one to feel like a moisturizer, which is really nice if you have dry skin, because I do find you can lighten up on moisturizer for day or night and just have your other skincare products on with this. Very comfortable, really has this nice kind of gel-like texture, because like I said, this one is super moisturizing, and it already has, in my opinion, at least on my skin, it has the most radiant finish and it is the most dewy. So it really just doesn't need any type of you know, like primer to help it glide across the skin, because for me this just goes on my skin like a moisturizer. And honestly, I don't think you need primer with the Chanel or the Westman Atelier either. And not that this one is thick, but it truly moisturizes the skin like your daytime cream or your moisturizer that you would be wearing underneath your makeup. Like, it just performs really pretty on its own. And it is a skin tint. I do find it kind of funny though, because skin tint seems to be like more of the buzzy word, and I'm like, but this one to me is like tinted moisturizer, but it's marketed as a skin tint. But I think we're not going to be seeing as much of like tinted moisturizer. This is a little bit more buzzy, but this one, I mean, very beautiful, really nice moisturizing finish on the skin, and we will brighten those dark spots. And there's the Hourglass. So like I said, beautiful on its own, doesn't take a ton of work, doesn't take a ton of prep, feels really nice and moisturizing, just looks like moisturized skin, obviously. So if you're kind of leaning into more of like a traditional tinted moisturizer, I'd say this is the good one. But it feels really good, and I like how it doesn't need a ton of prep and it doesn't need a ton of like finagling to get it to do what you want it to do. I do think that this one kind of wins the battle in terms of feeling the most like a actual moisturizer. So you've got the Westman Atelier, which kind of feels like that oil serum hybrid and still feels really nice and moisturizing. But if kind of like a true moisturizer effect and feeling of comfort on your skin is what you're looking for, this would be the one to go with. Last up, we have the Este Lauder Futurist Skin Tint Serum. So this one is available in 29 shades, and it also comes with an SPF of 20. Estee Lauder has also taken into the whole skincare infused product with this one. So this skin tint is part of the Futurist line from Estee Lauder, which remains elite in my opinion. I love the Futurist primer. I love the Futurist Hydra Rescue Moisturizing Foundation, and I love the Futurist concealer. So I kind of went into it knowing that I was going to like this because I'm such a huge fan of the Futurist line. However, with the skin tint, I kind of feel like it has its own vibe, and I feel like the Futurist skin tint is like the bridge between Estee Lauder Double Wear and the Futurist line. This kind of is like Double Wear's like cooler little sister. It's still really nice and fluid and has that gorgeous like silky formula like Double Wear, but it's a lot more like lightweight and moisturizing feeling, like the products from the Futurist line. At times I feel like Double Wear can feel a little bit like claustrophobic, and that's why I liked the Futurist line so much. It's a little bit more radiant, it's a little bit more dewy, it just feels a lot more like comforting and soothing on the skin. So I think that's really unique about this product, because I do truly feel like it has that silky set down like a Double Wear would, but then it has those moisturizing qualities that I love so much from all of the Futurist products from Estee Lauder. So I really do think this is kind of cool and takes those two lines, and this is like the sweet spot in between those two lines from Estee Lauder. So we will move into the application shots of this so you can see this in action. Estee Lauder. I'm gonna do about 2 drops on the back of my hand. It's a little bit thicker of a formula, but the pigmentation, you'll see it shears out gorgeously. I do also like that this one has SPF 20 in it. I just think this one is so pretty, and like I said, if you are a fan of the Estee Lauder Futurist line, this is so good. So if you like, I'm gonna do about 2 more drops, I think. So like 2 drops on this side of the face, we'll do 2 drops on the other side of the face. But if you like Double Wear and you're like me and sometimes feel it's just like slightly a little too clingy sometimes, Double Wear is like the GOAT when it comes to longevity. And if you want like a full flawless look, like, I am not slandering Double Wear, I love Double Wear. It will probably be like a classic foundation for a very long time. But if you feel like it's a little bit too much for every day and you want like a more sheer version of it. This is so good. So there's one layer. I'll put another layer on so you can see how this one builds, because it does have like the building characteristics of double wear. So this is one light layer of the skin tint all over. Okay, so I did 2 layers now and a little bit of concealer. Just blending this out, but you could definitely tell it's kind of verging into light coverage foundation arena, and definitely when it starts building up on top of itself, I think you can really tell that there's that soft powder finish. It's gonna be the best, I think, for people who want something that can have the ability to perform a little bit more like a light coverage foundation, but still have the feeling on the skin like a skin tint, like one of those products that you'll forget you even have on. If you've used Este Lauder Double Wear Sheer, I feel like this has a lot of the great qualities in Este Lauder Double Wear Sheer, but like I said, it really truly, if you are a fan of Este Lauder Futurist line, this is one to check out. I think that it doesn't even need like any setting, any specific prep steps. It's just such a gorgeous skin tint, very lightweight. You really get the best of both worlds with this product, and I'm very excited about it, and I genuinely like think this is such a great skin tint. Definitely one to check out if you are. I would say this would be the most ideal for people that have like more problem areas on the face that they want to conceal and hide, but also somebody who leans more on the normal to oily side. You get great wear time out of this. I am dry, but I do wear a lot of like balmy, oily products on my skin, and I always get great all day wear out of this. I just don't have anything negative to say about this one. I'm super impressed with it. One last thing I really wanted to hit for this video: if you are not in the market for a skin tint, if you do not want to buy something else, I don't think you have to. I mean, these are really great skin tints, and I definitely made this as kind of like a curated guide to my personal favorites, and I want it to be helpful and informative, but at the same time, like if you don't need a skin tint or you don't want a skin tint, you really don't need to buy one. I think if you pair your foundation with either a serum primer or a moisturizer, you can really still kind of cheat the effect of a tinted moisturizer or a skin tint. And one foundation that I think really lends itself easy to creating these different effects is the Haus Labs Triclone Skin Tech Foundation. I know everybody is loving this. It's, you know, everybody. I haven't seen many people say anything negative about it. It's just a great transformable product. And because of that, I think that this leans into kind of being able to cheat the effect of a skin tint. So the littlest bit of foundation, like just the tiniest bit, mixed in with your serum primer or moisturizer, will give you that effect. So I'm going to show you how you can mix the Haus Labs foundation to create a skin tint effect, or any foundation for that matter. So now we're doing the homemade skin tint. This is where the Skin Glass is a really great product. About that much, like half a dropper. I think we'll do about half the amount we used of the primer. Mixing this together until it looks like a skin tint to me. So you don't want the coverage to be as intense, because you can always add more, but you don't want to like add too much foundation where you defeat the purpose of it, you know, being a skin tint. So you could really do this with any serum type primer. You could do Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin, the Laneige Serum Primer, Merit's Great Skin. You could do this with anything that you like, really anything that is going to help give the foundation more fluid movement. That is what will give you the skin tint effect and have that really beautiful sheerness to it, to where it doesn't look as full on as your typical foundation. Like, how beautiful is that? And that's just the Haus Labs foundation, sheared out really gorgeously. And we'll pop on a little concealer so we can see how it looks as more of like a finished base. Okay, so that's the homemade skin tint, just the Natasha Denona and the Haus Labs. So this is definitely great for somebody who wants to even just experiment with a skin tint, is see if you like the way it looks. But you also kind of do have a slight upper hand because you can really control the intensity of the coverage that you get from the tint. But yeah, you don't have to go and buy one, and if you don't even know if you're going to like a skin tint, it's a good place to start, because skin tints at this point are priced more expensive or just as expensive as foundation. So it's a good way to kind of like dip your feet in and see if you even like it. So I really hope this was helpful. If you have any questions about any of these skin tints, please feel free to leave them in the comments down below. I'll have all the products listed and linked in the description box as well, and I will see you in my next video. Thank you so much for watching this one. Bye!